On tonight's Cover One Buffalo podcast, we bring you the very first mega mock draft. But first, our guys, Handsome Jack.
Broadcasting live to Bills Mafia Worldwide with Greg Tompsett and Aaron Quinn.
Welcome to the NFL. Doesn't matter what's happened before today. Today's a brand new day. It's a brand new season.
Your number one podcast for objective Buffalo Bills coverage. No matter where you are, we got you covered.
Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, it's finally here. We've made it to draft week.
Oh, I thought you were going to say my local golf course opened today. That we finally made it. The golf courses are open. No, it is draft week. And I'm so excited. We'll do this mega mock, and I am excited to do this show. But gosh, Greg, I just want to find out who the Buffalo Bills are going to pick and get into that part of it. That's much more fun for me, is whatever the nice and shiny new toy is, getting a hold of that and seeing how it's going to fit. And so the anticipation now that we're here at this point, Wednesday night, tomorrow's going to feel very long. This is going to be a late night, unfortunately, here the next couple of nights. I don't love that, but the anticipation is here. It's palpable, and I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like you said, it's really dragged on. Now I have every possible scenario and rumor and all the line season that goes on during this lead up to the draft, where you don't really know who likes who or who's considering who, but all the things get leaked and all these possible medical concerns and character concerns and all these things. It's a lot to deal with, and I'm ready for it to be here. On that note, make sure you come hang out. There will be live draft coverage here on Cover One. The guys over at Air Raid Hour will be leading it. I plan to jump on with those guys for a little bit to play around, and then Anthony Prohaska and I will be doing our regular immediate instant reaction late each night to the picks that take place on each day of the draft. So should be a lot of fun there. Can't wait to be able to get all those things going. And tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun here. You cooked up this idea. And when we talk about who's here to help with our friends over at William Battar Law Offices, we thought, what better way to do it than, everybody does mock drafts. Everybody does, a mock draft in different scenarios, but you cooked up the idea, what if we do a mega mock where we're doing 3 different mock draft simulators at once and playing through the scenarios as we go? Maybe it'll give us like the real stress of being in the draft room.
Yeah, I think my ADHD just took over here when I was like, what are we going to do for a show? And I was like, let's do all of them, right? No, I thought it might be fun. I've been bouncing back and forth between mocks really since like the Draft Network's mock kind of went to crap. No offense to the Draft Network, but since that it was one of the best ones probably 3-4 years ago.
Dominated it from a usage and utilization standpoint. It was the one everybody used.
And then PFF kind of stepped in, and then I saw a lot of people sharing the PFN one this year, and I still liked the user interface of PFF's a little bit better, but it still was missing some stuff. And then obviously Mathis brought us the stick to the model one, which I do really like a lot. And so as this draft season's approached, I've really been using 3 of them as we go. And I was doing one with Pat Moran the other day, and we were using the stick to the mock. I know you and I have done PFF in the past. I said, man, it would be a fun kind of scenario because none of this is predictive. We're not using mock drafts as a predictive thing. Bruce Nolan likes to talk about how it's an exercise. And to me, running more simulations is a better exercise, and using multiple draft boards is a better exercise. So this will give us an opportunity here in one night to talk about different scenarios, to look at different boards and to see how they all kind of play out, and maybe figure out which mock simulator is the best or one that we prefer to.
At least which one gives us the happier outcome tonight.
Absolutely.
All right, without further ado, let's jump right in. I actually threw another one into the mix here with the NFL mock draft database. That's the one that I use for the consensus big board. It's theirs, so it does theirs straight off of their model. We've got PFF here. We've got stick to the model. We've got a really nice mix going. We're going to see if hopefully I don't like shut down my computer here when I try to get them all rolling. So I'm going to start each one. I'm going to get them all cooking here as we go through, and let the picks happen. So we'll start out here. We're coming up on our first choice here. We've got
I'm gonna
on
look like
stick to
such
the
an
model.
old man tonight for the video people of me being like up into my screen squinting because I can't read anything.
So on the first one, our guy, our guy Mark in the Cover One Discord is going to love Emeka Egbuka is
Yeah.
there. Have not gone with him, and I don't love how things turn out when we don't start with either a D tackle or a corner. This one, I think, very likely the top defensive tackles are all going to be gone. I'd love if we got a chance at Grant or Nolan or Harmon, but it just isn't very common. But the full tier of corners are there, so our choice of Rebel, Hairston, Amos. We do have a couple
Can't leave
trade.
Thomas out of that. Thomas is there. I think he's in that
Yeah.
4.
A very intriguing trade offer here, 37 and 68 from the Raiders. To be
That's
able
nice
to
because
move
normally
down.
when I'm getting trades, it's for futures, and I want nothing to do with
Yeah.
future.
With this one, 37, I feel like we could still get one of our corners there and not get too screwed over. I would like that trade. I think that would be where I would lean right now with these options,
My only caveat to it is I'm fine with accepting that trade, but I want to, in this particular one, if we accept that trade, I really want to make a push, even if it's packaging multiple picks, to not have all those picks at the end, the bunch there of the 169 through 173 and the 177 206. If we can move 2 or 3 of those to get back up to around like into the top 100, 90, between 90 and 100, I think there's going to be some players there that I would like to maybe try to target. I don't want to acquire more picks necessarily. I'm open to moving down here, but I want more picks in the top 100. So this is intriguing because we get that 68.
Yeah,
We're not
we
moving
get
back
that one,
super
and then
far.
we could still package that and move
I would
up
like to
for the
package
other
something
one.
else and get back in there. And Brandon Beane kind of said it in the press conference. He doesn't want to be taking players that he doesn't think can make this roster. And I think every time I've done mocks, when I get into that range in the 5th and 6th round, I'm kind of taking flyers on guys that I don't even know can make it.
And this one turned out perfect because Trey Amos is still there. So that's your best case scenario. Is we did that trade here. They traded up for Luther Burden. During that stretch, you lost Egbuka, Hairston, and Rebel, but you just needed one of them to make it, and Trey Amos made it. That's an easy pick for us. I love that spot to do. So let's do that one and then move to the next simulator. All right, PFF. What do we got? We're on the board here. Tyleik Williams went early. This one. Got some madness going on here. We got let's see. At corner, we got Harrison, Rebel, both there.
Mm-hmm.
At defensive tackle, Harmon still there.
Just take
Love
Harmon.
That one.
No,
is that an easy just run to the podium?
I think so. At this point, I don't think Harmon's going to be there. This is one of the things of like a PFF. I think he's going to. I'll be shocked if he's much past early 20s. And the drop off gets, even though I like the depth of the class, the drop off is there. It's real.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of guys that if we go corner early, there's a lot of guys I think we can be happy with at 56 or 62 with the defensive tackle, but it is a definite tier lower than a Derek Harmon, a Kenneth Grant, or a Walter Nolan.
Yeah, and I think we can still double dip.
Yeah. All right, so Harmon, and we're on to the next simulator here. Again, bad trade. That's crazy trade. That's way too many. We already have enough picks.
Yeah.
All right. So here now, this is one. Wow. All right. Kenneth Grant is sitting here again. I think that's a run to the podium. But give me your thoughts on. I know Judge Mathis. He was putting out some tweets on like, hey, what if the corners and the D tackles are gone? Would you rather? Some people are saying, oh, we'll just go Tyleik Williams or just go Darian Porter, like a full tier lower, like a definite second round guy rather than like a Malachi Starks. Where are you if, say, the board goes really wrong and we don't get those guy at corner or D tackle that we want? Would you rather reach for a lower tier guy at a position of need, or would you be cool with Malachi Starks as the first round pick? Here we have Kenneth Grant, so it's kind of moot because I'm definitely going to click
on this
that
one. I get
just
what you're
moment,
saying.
But
I would have to see the board
if he wasn't there.
Yeah, I'd have to see the board that he was talking about because I think
He
like Thomas
created one. He did one where I'm pretty
was
sure he just
Thomas.
took over as the GM of every
Yeah,
team
I bet he did. Yeah.
and took like all the defensive tackles and literally like Rebel, Hairston, Thomas, like every
All
corner was
those
gone
guys.
and like created it where like, hey, would you really force yourself to dip that deep at those other spots versus, when you're talking like edge rusher 7 and defensive tackle 5 and cornerback like 8 or whatever the heck. He took like 7 corners in the first round.
Yeah,
But it was just a good exercise to think
I
through.
understand. Yeah. For me, I'd probably still want position and need just
Yeah.
because Brandon Bean left this major gap in the roster and it just never happens that way. And I still think I could get a really good safety later. Um,
All right. So I got Kenneth Grant in that one. Now I'm coming back here. We are back on the board. So again, we're gonna have to like help ourselves keep track of it. So this one we got Trey Amos and we did the trade. So we've got 68 coming up here. So we're back on the board at 56. We already took a corner. So D tackle, Alfred Collins is there. Omar Norman Lott, Josh Farmer. I think they have rated a little bit lower. From an edge standpoint, you got Prince Uman Malin, Birch, Swinson, Josiah Stewart. A lot of guys I like there. Safety, Xavier Watts is there. That's a nice one. And then at wide receiver, if we were to look there, nothing crazy. Cal Williams floating around.
what's that interior right now? Sorry.
So yeah, for me, I would probably be between Alfred Collins and Xavier Watts. I'd be open to Omar Norman Lott. I think he's a really good pass rushing guy.
Yeah,
I
if you
like
go with
Collins.
Norman Lott, though, you gotta
You have to
pair
double
him
dip with a
with
big body.
yeah, you got to get like a CJ West or Caldwell later.
Yeah.
I don't want to fall into the trap that I've been falling into with doing this particular mock over and over again, but it's me taking Xavier Watts here because he's just sitting there, and it kind of I'm going to sound a little bit like a hypocrite because what I just said and the previous when you asked me about it with Starks is like, what would you take if the board wasn't really falling the way you wanted it to? Watts here feels like a value. I think this is a guy that's a All-American and he's sliding here, and maybe it's not a position of need, but I'd find a way to get him on the field. I'd
And
maybe get Cam
it
Lewis
is
off the field
also
year one and let him be that Cam Lewis role for now.
yeah. Well, and it also is something where it's not crazy for him to fall because he didn't test crazy.
Sure.
He didn't test crazy high. So again, I and the fact that in this one we do have picks 62 and 68 coming up. We could take 2 defensive tackles in that structure.
Sure.
And I think there's plenty here that I like that I think we could be in really good shape. So I think it makes sense to do Watts. So I'm on board with you.
Okay.
All right, let's do that one. Now we're going to move back to PFF here. Similar guys there. So our picks, we got Harmon
right
here. So now we're in the spot where now we put ourselves in a corner.
I would go Thomas. I'd run that.
Yeah, it's an easy one there.
I think he's super Billsy. I love him.
Yeah, that's an easy pick. I think that's a super easy one. I think if Thomas made it to us at 56, that would be a coup. Being able to get him just out of curiosity, look at some of the other pieces here.
I love Alexander.
Alexander or Lott would be awesome when you already got Harmon, like having that size and having that possibility there. Couple edge rushers, so we could play around with them. But I agree here, we wouldn't want to mess around. And I think Thomas is an easy pick.
Yeah, he's super Billsy to me. It just screams Buffalo Bills DB.
All right, so here we started with Kenneth Grant, so we've got some big bodies in several of the spots. So as we go through here, Scorton making it there would be pretty nice. Landon Jackson, same thing, 2 edge rushers that I think could be good. Corner, you're now at Darian Porter, or you're dropping down to like Noel Williams or Dorian Strong. I wouldn't mind a double dip coming back with one of those guys if one of them made it to 109, or even moving up a little bit.
I think that might be one of our move up. Possibilities of moving some of those other picks. I think if get to like 90 or so. I do like Makuba a lot. I would say based on what we're looking at here, Landon Jackson
Scorton's probably the best. Like Scorton and Jackson are probably the best value, but I wouldn't want to drop below Porter. I think he's like my like lowest corner that I'd be comfortable still getting. I think we'd have to go with Porter, even if I don't think he's technically the best guy on the board.
It's
Or do you want to go with
intriguing.
Scorton? Or I mean, he could still be there at 62 also. So that's not like 60. That's not a huge.
Yeah, I would say it's
Reach.
between Scorton and Jackson. I lean a little towards Jackson, but I
Okay.
wouldn't fight you over Scorton.
No, let's go with Jackson. I think he's also, there's been a lot of like connections with the Bills there, and I don't love him at 30, but I'm totally happy with him at 56. I think that
Yeah,
he's very Gregory Rousseau-ish, like he's that kind of big,
there's a high
powerful, strong
ceiling.
edge rusher, and he's got crazy athletic upside. So there's a chance that if you tap into his athletic ability, you could get something really special. All
Sure.
right, let's go with him. Let's come back here.
Very athletic defensive line draft
So
over
this
there.
corner, we're all DBs so far. We've got Trey Amos and Xavier
I
Watts,
kinda
but we've
like
got 2
that.
picks here, 62 and 68. So this one, Alfred Collins did make it back to us. We got
Can I take
Collins
Judkins?
and
Will you let me
Lott.
add
Um,
Judkins to the team?
if you let me trade James Cook, absolutely.
I thought you were gonna say if I let you take draft Desmond Watson.
Wait, one of these is going to put him in.
He's
Yes,
in
they
this one.
added him.
Yeah.
Yes. All 464 pounds of his beauty. I mean, so this one we
I'm
gotta
kind of
go.
joking about Judkins, but I'm also kind of not.
I mean, honestly, the value of him at 56 is fantastic. I would love to get him there, and like that's the perfect scenario. Is if you told me we traded James Cook to the Broncos for pick 86, and then I could use that on a defensive tackle or a safety or a defensive end, and then I would be comfortable taking if Travion Henderson or Quinshot Judkins make it to 56, I would absolutely take them with that pick.
We're at 62 on this one now?
This one we are at 62 because we
Okay.
got Amos and Watts. So I think but we also traded down, so we have 68 coming up. So we could do two picks here. So we could get Alfred Collins and then Braden Swinson, or Alfred Collins and then Josiah Stewart. I do think for what we need, I like Josh Farmer again. They have him kind of low.
Yeah, he's
I think he's
there, and CJ
he's
West,
worth it here.
Those
But
guys
just
make me not.
Collins is 6'6", 332. I like that.
It is big. I think to me, Farmer seems more Billsy. West seems a little more Billsy. Collins would be fine. What else do we got here? Edge. Well, did we take edge on this one?
No. So I mean, we could just take Josiah Stewart or Braden Swinson, and then see which one of those guys make it down the one more pick. Those are two guys connected. And Oladejo has been connected with the Bills a lot too.
Definitely. Maybe go Swinson here, and
then I'll just stay on this one because we added the extra pick at 68. So in the draft, what did we lose in? So Collins went, Judkins went. So
to the Chiefs too. Of course he did.
Of course. I mean, now we're getting to the point where Omar Norman Lott would almost be hard to pass on to still have him there. But I think Josh Farmer is probably the more logical Bills pick for what they need.
Yeah, it's not going to probably grade us well for taking him here, but whatever.
But they have him ranked too low. He's going to go in this area.
Yeah.
All right. All right, next one. We're back here. So again, this one we have a combo: Derek Harmon and Ezra Thomas. This is a fantastic one so far. So now we're pretty flexible. You could go in a lot of different directions. Makuba, Kyle Williams, Emin Worry is still there. That's a crazy one to be floating around. They have him ranked really low, but
I actually agree with that ranking.
It's probably closer to reality.
Yeah, I think I could see a team biting on that athleticism. He doesn't do it for me personally, but so there's a couple that pop out to me.
We've got
both
both things covered. So like edge, Josiah Stewart, Jared Ivey.
I do like Stewart quite a bit.
Let's see, safety.
Makuba is the one that's kind of standing out to me. Kyle Williams kind of stands out to me.
Like in our scenario, like here again, I don't think this would happen, but if this happened, Emin Worry would be a really nice spot because you wouldn't be forced to put him in. You could let him learn. You could just use him with the crazy athleticism to see what's there, and then you would have the chance of like, hey, we've coached up some really mediocre athletes. What if we give you, like historically crazy athlete? Somebody that's all time. I think there's some kind of fun to that, especially, again, I don't think he's going to make it this far, but this would now get to the point where, like, well, hell, like, let's see what they could do just coaching up one of the best athletes ever from a testing standpoint.
I just don't think he's a football player.
Yeah.
And that's my concern, is that I think, like, the DNA that they talk about, that you need, I could be totally wrong. I've been wicked wrong on draft prospects before. He just doesn't look like a guy that, like, McDermott would want to put on the field to me. I think Makuba would be a guy that McDermott would salivate over. I have a tough time with the safety room, even though we took Watts and another one. The way they talk about the safeties and how much they like the safety room, maybe it's all just smoke.
I think Josiah Stewart is the most likely pick at a spot like this, where when we already got Harmon and Ezra Thomas, a part of me wants Darius Alexander because I think he's kind of
Omar and Norman Law would be cool too as a pass.
Both of them are kind of that combo D line that you could make work. So you
Kyle
can sway
Williams
me
is
here.
real intriguing too, because he does provide what the Bills fans are looking for in terms of separation.
Kyle Williams is Khalil Shakir. Like, that's exactly the kind of player he is. He's exactly that kind of guy. All right, what do you think? I'd say for me, I'd be Alexander or Stewart. Although honestly, my pick would be Emenor. I would pick Emenor, but I'm comfortable with the Alexander or Stewart.
I would lean more towards need and go Stewart. I think
he's a super likely pick, and I think that's a stellar combo of having.
And I think you got to build up that room a little bit, right? Yeah. Epenesa's not going to be there long term. Bosa's not a long term option in that room.
All right, so now we got Kenneth Grant and Landon Jackson, but we've avoided corner. I think we got to go Darian Porter now. Sure. This is at 62. I think that's an easy pick. TJ Sanders is a great value also, but we can't take a third defensive lineman. For no matter how much I advocate for large humans, I can't take a third defensive lineman in a row. But if we got that combo, that's not a common one I've seen kind of mocked together. But if we ended up with Kenneth Grant, Landon Jackson, and Darian Porter, I'd be ecstatic. This is a spot here where I might stay on this one for a moment, because I do think I'm going to actually pause it here. I don't know where the target range should be, but maybe we wait until like one of Noel Williams or Dorian Strong goes off the board and then try to trade up for the other one.
I don't love Strong, but I would be in favor of, like,
hold on.
Look,
Strong just went, so now Williams is the last one on the board, and we're now at pick 90.
I think 90 is a good trade spot, actually.
Yeah. Let's see what we can do with the Rams here to get pick 90.
It probably wouldn't cost a lot. I would think you'd have to give up 109.
Yeah. I was just kind of messing around to see if there's a chance not to.
Really? That won't?
Wow. They really don't want to move him. So that's definitely as much as I would want to do, but that's even a touch more. I could risk it for 2 or 3 more picks and see if we get lucky.
I mean, you got a corner, so it's really hard to risk too much for it. Yeah, maybe go a couple more picks and see if somebody else is a little cheaper.
Okay, I get 3 more picks. This is now pick 93 with the Saints.
We could definitely pull one over on the Saints.
All right, Saints. Let's try again.
Poorly run organization.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're in much better shape. All right. So 109, 170, 177.
Sure. I don't want to make all those picks anyway.
Yeah. So we're there. Boom.
That's a good draft. I don't want Brandon Beane to have that draft strategy where he's like, I'm bored. I don't want to be here making all those picks day 3. All right.
Let's come back around here. Where are we at? This combo, we've got Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Braden Swinson, Josh Farmer. We're back up at 109. So wide receiver, pretty wide open here. We could go a lot of different ways. We could look again at another defensive lineman, because in this one we got Josh Farmer. So a double dip here. You could go with a CJ West or Jamari Caldwell. I think either of them would be nice picks in this spot, and just double dip at D line.
What does linebacker look like?
You're not a fan of Dorian Strong.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. I do like Noel Williams a lot more.
Paul is a guy that I know a lot of folks really like, Chris Paul
Yep.
Jr. And his name's Chris Paul Jr., which is it's just fun from that standpoint.
It's a fun one.
At wide receiver, Savion Williams is like basically what we just signed with LaVisca Chenault, except younger, and we just start over again. Our guy Greg, his man Xavier Restrepo, out of Miami. So I would say I would probably be leaning with one of the receivers, or honestly, I would probably do CJ West or Jamar.
CJ West is my favorite player here, like on the board.
Well, especially because we waited at defensive tackle, so we didn't get one until later. So getting both Farmer and West, I would feel better about, like, hey, I bet one of them works out, and that you're in better shape. I think I agree. I think I would go West.
You got some decisions to make in that room,
Yeah. Hey,
you take two guys. There's some weird, tough conversations that are going to be had.
All right, we're back up at 109 in this one, and Jamari Caldwell just went one pick before us.
Bomber.
So this one, I like what we've got so far, though. Derek Harmon, Ezra Thomas, Josiah Stewart. I think that's a nice combo. Let's take a look at the safeties. We've kind of lost out on that group. Billy Bowman's there. Nothing crazy. Nothing standing out that we need to do. If we went back at defensive line, Josh Farmer is there. I think that's an interesting one. JJ Pegas, I know, is a common one that we've seen come up a little bit. Let's look at wide receiver. Torrey Horton is an interesting one just for the size speed combo. That I think there's some possibility that
I love me some Ty Felton too. I really do.
Yeah, Felton. Isaiah Bond is still there, crazy fast. I don't know if we vetted his off-field stuff, but I know seems like they've kind of faced that head on. So now at 109, I'd be super interested in Bond. That's probably actually my leading one. Noel Williams is there if we wanted to double dip at corner.
I don't know if I'm ready for a double dip after having Thomas and Trey White.
Oh yeah, I feel very good about that.
Feels really good. I feel like the double dip is if you miss in those first three picks, then maybe you are trying to take more chances at it.
I'd say it's probably Bond.
Do it. Take Bond. I don't care.
Yeah. That speed's fun. All right. Terrible trade offer. All right, this one's coming together nice. We got Kenneth Grant, Landon Jackson, Darian Porter. We moved up for Noel Williams.
Okay, we can't take any more corners, even though I'm going to.
We are all cornered out. We could go back. We already got Kenneth Grant, but Jamari Caldwell sitting there. I'm always going to be interested in him.
Sure.
Again,
Bond.
on this one,
we could take Isaiah Bond again.
Isaiah Bond is the top receiver.
I don't want to get in trouble with the internet for like these guys love Bond.
But that probably is the best pick here. We haven't got a safety. What do we got at safety here? I haven't seen. What do you think on Lathan Ransom? I haven't seen a ton on him. Like in the lower tier safeties, I just haven't done. Once you get past the top couple guys, I
haven't done work deep into the safety class. For me, it's either you're going to get like a guy that you feel like could be a long-term starter. Maybe the Bills have done that kind of work on some of these guys, but
if it's a lower tier guy, I'd rather just keep Derek Forrest. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that room's
if it's a lower tier guy, like whatever, I don't need somebody just from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. So same thing. So Chris Paul Jr. again.
I don't hate. I know the rankings aren't probably there. I don't hate Tesla too. If we want to switch it up from Bond,
I'd be fine taking Jamari Caldwell, and we would be good at defensive tackle forever with Kenneth Grant and Jamari Caldwell.
Yeah.
I probably would take Isaiah Bond, but I'm fine with Isaac Tesla too.
We could take Caldwell and see if Tesla's still.
Yeah, I like that. I like that comment. Let's do Caldwell. We now have two massive humans. That makes me so happy. That's like 670 pounds a man that we just drafted between those two. All right, this one, we're coming back. We've got Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Braden Swinson, Josh Farmer, CJ West. So we've locked down pretty much all the needs here. Now we've got just luxury picks, whatever we think looks good. We can be able to go in. What do we got here? So now at like wide receiver, Restrepo Tesla is right there. That's a Dante Thornton, a guy that I know came in for some visits.
I do like Lambert Smith. I feel like he's lower ranked. I know he doesn't have great size, but
Yeah.
I'm also open to positionless football. I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, we need this body type and that body.
Yeah, like the basketball team analogy, like that you have to get those certain ones. Like if you told me like, oh darn, we have 3, Khalil Shakirs. Oh shucks.
I know. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I know a lot of people disagree and that you need certain types. And I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just I think Brady is living in positionless football a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm open to it. So we got, I think linebackers in play here. I do like
Yeah,
Zion
for sure.
a lot.
Yeah, I'd say Zay Alexander,
Bassa, maybe.
Barrett Carter, Bassa. I think there's some possibility there.
Here go.
Or again, what
running back? Where's running back looking like? I think we're
uh
kind of in that range now.
yeah. The normal guys that are there, Damian Martinez, Brashard Smith, Trevor Etienne. I love Jaden Blue. I think
Blue's cool.
Crazy
tight
fast.
end. I know I'm not as big on that. I don't know where you're standing on.
Um,
There seems to be this like rumbling of fans that are like, "Hey, we need to replace Quentin Morris," but I think that's Davidson.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. I'm fine with. I mean, right now we have 10 picks. I'm fine with any of them.
Sure.
Throw one of the darts at tight end, but if we trade those picks and don't use it and don't get a tight end, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But
I think
there's some
everybody's
piece
just
of me that wouldn't mind.
over Davidson as like he could be tight end 3. We're talking about like a super limited role,
Yeah.
and he did
I'd say,
fine.
I'd say probably Bassa or Carter.
Yeah.
I think one of those linebackers.
I'm
Let's
up for Bassa.
All right. All right, we're back here. We've now got Derek Harmon, Ezra Thomas, Josiah Stewart, and Isaiah Bond. We've come back around. And so that one, we could be looking at a safety. We could come back with another defensive lineman. This one, we've been in pretty good space. Billy Bowman is the top player on the board, so that's not a bad one. JJ Pegas, again, we could be set up really well there.
Let's do it.
That's so weird.
I would have a tough time not taking him in real life, being like, hey.
Yeah, should get him and try to trade him later on.
I mean, yeah.
Develop a cheap backup guy.
Patriots just did it, right?
Yeah, although they got like
nothing.
I love that. Like they drafted him in the 6th and they traded him for a 5th. Like, congratulations, great job. You moved up one round
steps.
in day 3.
Baby steps.
I would probably be Billy Bowman just to have that.
I do like Kobe Bryant. If you wanted to do a double dip, I think Kobe Bryant would be a good Bills target double dip there.
Right. David Walker would be a fantastic one. I don't think he's going to fall this low, but I think that's an easy pick there if he was available. If
we did just get Landon Jackson, I don't know how much room we have, and you're having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's like a good cut down day trade of AJ Epinesa or something like that, where you get something back.
That's my fears. I actually think they like AJ Epinesa more than I do. Yeah. Wait, go back to, was it the all real quick? Yeah. ETN.
Barrett Carter.
ETN. And hedge your bet against Cook holdout or Cook whatever, that getting weird. I think we're in that range now.
Sure.
So I would take Walker.
At principle, I would probably take him just because of the value. But yeah, realistically, I think there'd be other spots here. I'll take him here just because I think it's the right pick.
I think we've got to take a back on that one. I actually feel bad a little bit for the podcast listeners of us bouncing around between these. It might be confusing listening on audio. So I apologize to you all out there in the audio.
Yeah, the audio listeners, you're gonna have to suffer along. All right, we're back to the stick to the model sim here. This one we've got Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Braden Swinson, Josh Farmer, CJ West, Jeffrey Bassa. So we've got corner, safety, edge, D tackle, linebacker. We're in pretty good shape here. Now we could probably look at, we've taken 6 straight defensive players.
Load up. Stop
now
Patrick
we could probably
Mahomes.
Look at wide receiver, running back, tight end, any of those guys here. Jaden Blue, Devin Neal is another one I've seen thrown out there quite a bit. Dante Thornton, is there a guy that big size speed guy there, or Rondé Gadsden, who can make some Syracuse fans happy?
Mm-hmm. For me too, I will admit maybe I'm scouting the helmet a little bit, but Georgia running backs do it for me.
Yeah. Younger brother Georgia running backs of other NFL running backs. That's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, it's not a bad model. I mean,
I'm fine with Trevor Etienne. I would be Etienne or Thornton. I'd be either of those two.
let's go ETN.
And we have another pick coming up pretty quickly
Yeah.
here. So, all right. So we've got that. All right. Now we're back on the PFF model. This one we've got Derek Harmon, Ezra Thomas, Josiah Stewart, Isaiah Bond, and Billy Bowman. So again, we do have an offensive player here. We could go with another defensive tackle.
Mitchell Evans is kind of intriguing sitting there for a tight end if you wanted a tight end.
Willie Lampkin, I honestly I could totally see him being a developmental guy to come in, longer term to replace David Edwards next year. Let's see what we got a wide receiver.
That's one thing I keep not doing in mocks that I probably should. If they are going to have this many picks, they're going to get some offensive linemen.
Yeah, maybe not. I think tackle, we really might not take a tackle just because we have so many, but I could see an interior guy for sure. Yeah. I think Dante Thornton makes a lot of sense at this pick.
Take him.
ETN went one pick before us. All right. Now we're coming back here. We got offered another terrible trade. We don't need extra picks. All right. So this one, we're on the mock draft database simulator. We've got Kenneth Grant, Landon Jackson, Darian Porter, Noel Williams, Jamari Caldwell, David Walker. So this one, we've now got 6 defensive players and no offense so far. So let's look at wide receiver. We've got Jalen Lane. I think that's a nice pick. Isaac Tesla. I think either of those would be good. And at running back, we've got Jaden Blue. What do you like?
Blue?
Yeah, I like Jaden Blue. He's so fast.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, we're coming back around. We are back at the stick to the model draft simulator. Again, Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Braden Swinson, Josh Farmer, CJ West, Jeffrey Bassett, Trevor Etienne. So maybe wide receiver? Let's see what we got there. Could do Dante Thornton in this one.
Sure.
All right, I like it.
I'm mad though because we didn't do. Part of my. I said we can make that trade if we traded back up, and we didn't. So
it's shame on us for
I should have yelled at you.
we could actually juggle all of these.
Yeah.
I think Willie Lampkin's a pick here.
Sure, take him.
I think we take Lampkin. I like that one. So real quick, I know in the chat I saw Bills fan 7883 brought up Dylan Fairchild. When I was at the combine, I was talking to Brandon Thorne during the offensive line interviews, and Dylan Fairchild is like his favorite sleeper guy. So anytime Brandon Thorne tells me he likes an offensive lineman, I'm like, yep, I'm in. I like that guy too. So yeah, keep an eye out. That's a name that he thinks has some long-term developmental potential to be a dominant player. All right.
I love Thorne.
We are back here. Oh no, we just took Thornton in that one. So now we're at PFF. We took Lampkin there.
All right. Now you're
last pick on this one. It's our last pick in the mock draft simulator one where we use some draft capital to move up to get Noel Williams. So this one, we got 2 corners, 2 D tackles, 2 edges, and a running back. So no safety, no linebacker.
Yeah, I think Teddy Buchanan makes a lot of sense here. Or Kaiser could be your Spectre replacement, special teams kind of guy. But I think Buchanan offers you more real linebacker play at the NFL level.
Yeah, I like it. And that's one of Mathis's favorite guys. All right, so that one's wrapped up now. Got a couple picks left here because we didn't use any trade capital to move back up.
I'm going to hold
this one. We've checked a lot of boxes.
Yeah, I feel like you just did this so you could do Desmond Watson. I'm pretty pissed about that. So
you can't prove that.
You'd be like, oh, picks. Why not?
There's extra picks. What's the downside? Let's look at the offensive lineman here. Yeah, offensive lineman here. Lampkin's there.
Take Lampkin. We took him earlier.
Yeah, I like that as a pick here. And now maybe a tight end. We could make some Syracuse fans happy. Take around the Gadsden.
I do like Hawes, although he's not going to give you much.
He's the blocking guy, right? The blocking tight end.
Which maybe Cromer's pounding the table of like, hey, let's be big.
That's probably more realistic. All right, PFF, we're back here, wrapping this one up. We've got now Harmon, Thomas, Josiah Stewart, Isaiah Bond, Billy Bowman, Dante Thornton, Willie Lampkin. So we've checked a lot of boxes. Maybe another defensive tackle. We could take Mitchell Evans in this one. Get a tight end.
Yeah, if you wanted to double
Tim
dip,
Smith is a
longer
defensive
beam
tackle.
wouldn't be a terrible double dip.
Yeah.
Did we double dip at interior on this one?
We didn't. I would actually like to get another.
Tim
So
Smith wouldn't be
longer beam and Tim Smith are. I mean, we could just do back-to-back picks with those two.
Sure.
Let's do longer beam. See who makes it back to us here in just a quick turnaround. Oh, somehow, literally in those three picks in between there, of course, we lost Tim Smith. Deanne Walker's there, or Zeke Biggers at this. I
don't like Zeke Biggers at all, I will say.
Deanne Walker at this pick, like I do like Eric's comp that he's just Jordan Phillips 2.0, but in the 6th round, I'm fine with that. Like he's still enormous, and there's still potential you could tap into.
Sure. To Eric McNeil's point, go Huskies. Yes, I don't ever want to make Syracuse fans happy. You guys ruined the Big East by taking football money, so I don't want to talk to anybody.
All right. One more pick here. I'm really thinking we should look for like a defensive tackle with a lot of size. Maybe someone over 400 pounds. I don't know. We actually probably should.
Actually, Teddy Buchanan right there. We already did a linebacker on this one though, right?
Yeah, we took Bassett earlier.
Yeah.
We've also taken 2 one-tech defensive tackles. So linemen.
So many players to add.
Yeah, there's too many players.
I'll let you take Desmond Watson since this is our last one, and you've been busy at work. You deserve this.
Yes, it's so beautiful. All right, I think this is our last. All right, our last pick of the draft. And in this one, in the PFF, we've now got Derek Harmon, Ezra Thomas, Josiah Stewart, Isaiah Bond, Billy Bowman, Dante Thornton, Willie Lampkin, Robert Longerbeam, Deanne Walker. So we've got 2 defensive tackles, 2 corners, an edge, a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers, a safety, a guard. So maybe a linebacker or a tight end, I think, are 2 spots we could look at. So linebacker, Buchanan is there.
You like Jay Higgins too.
Jalen Conyers, that's another guy that.
If we're going linebacker, I probably lean Buchanan unless we want to switch it up and go Higgins.
I could see that. I think Higgins could make some sense.
Higgins is an interesting, like, he could be like kind of hybrid-y.
Yeah.
Linebacker
you could use him in a couple different spots. All right. So now with all the madness of everything that we did here, let's see what we actually came up with. So our draft for stick to the model, we got Trey Amos. We did a little trade down. We got Trey Amos that gave us pick 68. So we ended up getting Josh Farmer with that. So Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, defensive end, Braden Swinson out of LSU, D tackle Josh Farmer out of Florida State, CJ West, D tackle out of Indiana, Jeffrey Bassett, linebacker out of Oregon, Trevor Etienne, running back from Georgia, Dante Thornton, big, tall, fast wide receiver from Tennessee, Willie Lampkin, a small but really powerful guard from North Carolina, and Jackson Hawes. I like that haul. I think that's a good class. PFF is grading us right now. They thought we should have picked Cam Ward, so they gave us a C+ on Derek Harmon because we didn't draft Derek. We didn't draft Cam Ward.
Cam Ward go?
I don't know. It's stupid that they let him fall.
Did they let him fall on this one?
Yes, he went like 30.
Did he have like a grass mask picture come out
apparently
before this draft or something? That wouldn't even matter now in 2025. Nobody would care.
Yeah, correct. People would be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
This one we got Derek Harmon, we got Ezra Thomas, corner out of Florida State, Josiah Stewart, Michigan defensive end, super fast wide receiver Isaiah Bond out of Texas, Oklahoma safety Billy Bowman, another fast wide receiver out of Tennessee, Dante Thornton, guard Willie Lampkin, cornerback from Rutgers Robert Longerbeam, D tackle Deanne Walker out of Kentucky, and linebacker Jay Higgins. I like this class a lot. This might be my favorite one so far. And then for the mock draft simulator, we got Kenneth Grant, which is nice, Landon Jackson, Darian Porter, and Noel Williams, 2 corners, Jamari Caldwell, David Walker, Jaden Blue, and Teddy Buchanan.
Actually, I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, I do think I like those ones better. We got
the top of the Harmon, Thomas,
Amos,
Stewart.
Watts, Swinson, Farmer, Westlake is really nice. Like that would be a very nice haul.
That is
But
good. Yeah,
getting
top of
the
those
chance of
two.
Harmon to Grant is just really tough to beat. It's really, really tough to beat.
Harmon and Grant's tough to beat. I think the one on the mock database though, where you double dipped for good corners, you locked that up.
Yeah.
Caldwell's like
Caldwell
you
and
locked
Grant.
up some positions. Not only did you address, in my opinion, those positions for 2025, but you locked them up so they're not a conversation going forward.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, like Kenneth Grant and Jamari Caldwell, if you could get both of those, you could probably do the post June 1st on
Daquan Jones, yeah, for sure.
Like you'd be really well set there, and give a lot of options. Jackson is a guy that can kick in a rush from all different positions on the D line. Getting Walker later on would push Javon Solomon. You'd have some options there. Jaden Blue gives you coverage. Teddy Buchanan, yeah, that's a really nice haul. That one's a really good one. I think both of those turned out really well. But yeah, I think you swayed me. I think the mock draft database ended up being my favorite one out of the three.
We should post them on the socials and see what other people think. Comment here on YouTube if you're here in the live chat, or if you're watching this video later. Comment, what is your favorite of our three mock drafts? Maybe we'll post them in the comment section so people can kind of read them clearly. But that's a fun exercise to do it that way. Although I think we juggled probably a little more than we should have handled, especially
we probably should. The one that we had too many picks, we definitely should have traded back up at one point and forgot, but
we did forget. That's my fault. I'll blame that on my ADHD. My bad.
So this one where we had all the extra picks, I almost want to go back and look like who was there at like 90-ish that we could have. Let's see, round 4, round 3, the end of there. Tay Felton went 95. That would have been a nice one to come back up and grab. Isaiah Bond. Yeah, we could have come up and got one of those receivers, Isaiah Bond or Tay Felton, and be able to grab one of those.
We should get Fire Quinn trending if we can. Because in my experience, I will say the more people you have trying to fire you, that means you're probably the best in a sport. Like Sean McDermott is one of the best coaches in football, and everyone wants to fire him. So if we can get X or Twitter to talk about firing me, then I'm probably doing a good job.
Obviously, it means you're doing a pretty great job.
Right? Isn't that how math works?
I think so. I see no flaws in your logic.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this was a ton of fun. I was going to say, Kale Mori, he's bringing that up because he is a frequent active user in our Discord channel, and the running theme in there is the running joke is just always Fire McDermott. Like, that's just the constant running joke of anything that's going on. Well, why did that happen on Fire McDermott? It's just the constant answer to just about any question or query that comes
up. And speaking of Discord, we actually had a fun night last night.
That was cool.
Yeah, I hopped on and we did a mock together with the One Pass members, which was super fun. Just chatting with people and kind of using. I didn't just like control the whole thing. I was like, hey, what do you guys want to do here? What should we do? I did screw up, and I told him I think it was on Caldwell. I was like, we'll wait on Caldwell. I think we can move back up and get him. And he went right before the pick. And so everyone did want to fire me. There was a lot of conversation about firing me as a GM, but I think our draft turned out well. And it's really cool community that we built over there on Discord with tons of like-minded football fans. So this would be a great time to get on One Pass. You can see down here at the bottom of the screen, producer Chris put it up, cover1.net/One Pass. You get it for a full year. So this is a great time of year where you get the draft coverage. The analysis that's going to come out of the Cover One team post-draft is top in the content game, in my opinion. So you're going to want to get on that stuff, and most of that stuff gets shared in our Discord channel before it ever reaches you on the socials.
Fantastic opportunity to jump over there and hang out with us. Everything else, we appreciate you guys again. Remember, we'll have live coverage all throughout all 3 days of the draft and immediate instant reaction after each of the picks. So come hang out. We'll have you covered all the way through there. Appreciate you guys very, very much. But on behalf of fantastic producer Chris Kepner and Aaron Quinn and our friends over at William & Tar Law Offices, I am Greg Tompsett. You have been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we are out.